What should a married woman whose husband is against tithing do? We have a joint account, and he knows exactly how much I earn. So you go to your husband and ask him for permission so that you will tithe. If he does not agree, do not tithe. Okay? I know somebody is surprised with my answer. Let me tell you about God. You know, I know a little about God. Listen to me carefully. Do not violate instituted authority in the name of attempting to obey God. You can't obey God by rebellion. Be accurate according to the authorities that God has set in place, and stay there and labor in prayer for the much needed liberty to be granted you to accomplish what God has told you. Once upon a time, shortly after my dad died, so my mom just became a widow. And I had finished my youth service. And in the place of prayer, the Lord told me that I finished youth service, but my mission to Kano State is not yet finished. That I should dust my shoes and head for Kano. And when I told my mom refused, because those were the days of religious riots in Kano. And she said she just lost her husband, and then her son wants to go and die too, all of that. I said, all right. I submit to your authority. And I went back to Jesus. I said, Jesus, the only reason why I'm not on my way to Kano is because the authority you have set over me has not allowed me. So can you talk to her to allow me go to where you have sent me? It took 22 days. And after 22 days, I don't know how Jesus did it. Because it was early in the morning, she came to me and said, proceed on your journey. But she never told me what appeared to her in the room. So I greeted her, and I proceeded to Abuja. When I went to Abuja, one of my relatives said, you can't go to Kano. I said, get out. Get out. You don't even qualify to advise me. You are not one of the people. Go and sit down. From that day, that person never advised me again till today. Because Satan will use people's vocal cord to speak to you. And there are several scenarios where Jesus speaks to Peter as though he was addressing the devil, and he speaks to the devil as though he's addressing Peter. So that was one of such points. The person had no basis to attempt to restrain me. So I spoke strong, and he has not spoken to today. That was how I proceeded to Kano. Guess what I met in Kano when I went there? The disciples that I was teaching the Bible, when I was in youth service, had bounded themselves with a fast that they will not eat until God brings that copper back. I met them fasting. Jesus Christ. I wept, not because they thought I was weeping for joy. I was weeping for myself. So these guys are the ones that imprisoned my life. Hey! They entered fasting. So when I came to the mission field, I wept that first day. These guys, oh God. Then I dropped my bag. And because the Lord said I should begin to teach them the scriptures. So I opened my Bible and started teaching from that day. The night I was supposed to leave Kano, an angel came into my dream and said, take your bags and go. Your mission has been accomplished. It was the same angel that told me that when you are done with the mission in Kano, the Lord will give you a job. So he said I should pack my load and leave. I took my load, took my bags, and I left Kano, came to Abuja. On the 15th day of my being in Abuja, my employment letter came. And you know how I left public service too. Most of you know my story. All right, he said, it is over. It is over. And how did I know? He said, what? To release you to fulfill your conviction. Anything you do outside of established authority is equal to rebellion. And my book mentor called Watchman Nee says, every sin produces darkness, but the sin of rebellion produces the greatest darkness.